Hi, I'm your host, Marcia Florence for Just Ask. Today our show is Social Security Administration, Ticket to Work and Work Incentive. Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marcia Florence for Just Ask. Today our show is the Social Security Administration, a special feature of the Social Security Administration, the Ticket to Work and Work Incentive Program. And we have with us O'Brien Robinson, the Area Incentive Coordinator. Hi, O'Brien, how are you?
Great, how are you, Marcia?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be asked to come on your show. Thank you.
Okay, now a lot of times, people are into this program based on information dealing with disabilities, okay? But there is a concern about some things with Social Security. Now a lot of that is, there's new programs coming up every day with Social Security. So can you tell us about your role with the Social Security Administration?
Well, as the Area Work Incentive Coordinator, I coordinate the 23 offices in the greater Metro Detroit area and train staff and give presentations in the public and help work on various cases that are difficult cases.
Okay. Now, is it a new law or just a generalized program that's supposed to assist persons with disabilities in becoming employable again, or to utilize the past skills that they already have to go back to work?
A little of everything. We have programs now that incorporate all kinds of new legislation, old work incentives. There's a lot of ways now that Social Security will help people overcome barriers to work.
Okay. So the Ticket to Work program, how long has that been in existence?
The legislation was passed in 1999. It came to Michigan just last year. And it's been rolling out across the country. And by December, it'll be totally rolled out. Everybody who's eligible for a ticket will have received a ticket in all 50 states.
Okay. Now, people get the ticket. Is it a card or something? They get something in the mail that says you're eligible to go to work. What is it designed to say?
Yes, it does. And I'll, further on in the show, I'm going to show what the ticket looks like.
Okay.
And give a little summary about it.
Okay. Now, what about the incentive programs? What's that all about?
Well, a lot of times people need a leg up to get into the workforce because after it's taken a lot of time and effort often when someone becomes disabled to even get Social Security disability benefits. And once they get the disability benefit, now Social Security is saying, we'd like to help you get back into the workforce. That's a mind shift for a lot of people. But that's really what our efforts are for, is to help people become self-sufficient. And the Ticket to Work program and the work incentives are the way that we do that.
Okay. Because it seems like it's a little shaky for the public to understand that while I'm eligible for Social Security benefits, why would I get a form that says now you're eligible for a ticket to work and I can go back to work? Because a lot of people feel as though if they've taken all this time to get the benefits, why would they utilize the ticket?
For their own benefit.
Okay.
To put more money in their pocket.
Okay.
And that's what these are all about, to help individuals become more prosperous through these programs. Social Security has old work incentives and new work incentives that I'd like to cover today.
Okay. Okay, so there's a lot of times what I'm concerned about is that during the course of our conversation today, I know someone's at home saying, I've got this ticket, I'm afraid to call these agencies, or what agencies do I call? And if I'm going to call them, do I have to go to work? Some people really don't want to go to work.
Right. And we totally understand that. This is volunteer. It's only voluntary in every way. People, if they want to stay home and they're satisfied or they're unable to work, then that's fine. They can receive the Social Security disability benefit.
Okay.
They're due that. But if they would like to work and put more money in their pocket, we're there to help them.
Okay, now
And-
we don't want to confuse the public when you say that it's okay if they don't want to. Now, do they still call in, though, and initiate that, hey, I'm unable to go to work, or do you need to turn in some paperwork to verify
No.
that they can't use this ticket?
No, when they get the ticket, they could just keep it in a drawer for the next 10 years. And they don't have to do anything with it.
Okay.
But if they want to use it, they can. The benefit of the ticket is it has the telephone number and the information for them to take the next step. But if they don't want to, that's fine.
Okay. Well, Brian Robinson, we'll be right back. We have to get into this a little more deeper, so let's take a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, honey. What are you doing?
Homework with my friends. Aren't I supposed to?
Just called to say hi, that's all.
Family, isn't it about time?
Dad, that's so cool.
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. For those of you who are just now joining us, we have the Social Security Administration, the Ticket to Work program, and Work Incentive, and we have the coordinator, O'Brien Robinson. Now, O'Brien, we know that Social Security Administration offers some very good programs, but we want to know more about the innovative program that puts money into the pockets of persons with disabilities.
Right, Marcia. Social Security has been changing over the last almost 70 years to help meet the needs of the public, which are always changing. And now we have some innovative programs that help make prosperity possible for people with disabilities. And we do that through the Ticket to Work and Work Incentive programs. Now, Social Security has two disability programs. The SSI program, it stands for Supplemental Security Income, and the Social Security Disability Program. That's one most people are familiar with. Now, there are work incentives for both programs, but the objectives are the same. More cash benefits for the individuals, extended Medicare, and extended Medicaid.
Okay, not bad. Now, do we have an outline of how many people in the country are disabled?
Sure. There are 51 million people in this country. About 20% of the population actually has some sort of a disability. Only 11 million of them actually receive a Social Security disability benefit, either Social Security disability or SSI disability.
Wow.
And people tend to be able to, those 11 are, the majority of the disabled, tend to be able to work around their disability and focus on their abilities. And that's why most people work.
Okay, that's a lot of people, though. So 51 million people in the country are possibly disabled.
According to the Department of Labor. Yes.
Okay, that's a lot of people. Now, you know, I don't think a lot of times people with disabilities know if they have any role models or anything that, you know, they can possibly look up to and say, hey, just because I have a disability doesn't mean I can't work or doesn't mean I can't be prosperous in a business. Do we know any people that's, other than myself, I'm just kidding, other than, you know, who do we know?
Well, you're one of the many outstanding examples.
Okay.
But there are also, in your same group, are people like three presidents, the two Roosevelt presidents, Teddy Roosevelt and
Okay.
Delano Roosevelt, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt. President Kennedy had wounds from World War II. But then there's many other people, Whoopi Goldberg, Sammy Davis Jr., he had cancer and vision problems. Even Einstein, who everyone thinks was, you know, a genius or perfect, he actually had dyslexia.
Wow.
And the man who took his theories and brought them to a new level, his name is Stephen Hawkins. Stephen Hawkins has Lou Gehrig's disease and is wheelchair bound, but he was able to actually, in his mind, create an entire book, and then after it was finished in his mind, dictate it letter by letter. And then they wrote it out that way.
Okay.
Even Beethoven. Beethoven, he was totally deaf, and he wrote the Ninth Symphony while he was totally deaf.
I think, well, a lot of times we do need to recognize, individuals with disabilities as role models instead of just assuming that, when you are a disabled person or a person with a disability that you need to be cared for all the time, that there are people who work and want to work or who are artists or scientists or, innovative people altogether.
Sure.
So now, do we have an age criteria normally for what the benefit package would be for a person with a disability?
Not really, but the average age for the people receiving Social Security is 51 years old.
Okay.
Now, I'm older than 51, so I know that if somebody is around my age, they have the energy, and I'm sure they have the experience to be able to work, if they have the desire. And remember, all of these programs are voluntary. People do not have to work if they receive Social Security or SSI disability.
Okay.
An interesting fact is that 57% of the disabled are women.
Wow.
Yeah. I know that I had read a cute little saying not long ago that said, not only is a woman's work never done, but the definition keeps changing.
You got that right. Okay. The roles change, the definition change. Okay, you're right. Let me ask you now, I think you mentioned earlier, is there a big significant difference between Social Security disability and SSI, which stands for Social Security Supplement?
Supplemental Security Income.
Okay. Is there a big difference in between the two? And
There is,
Okay.
Because Social Security benefits are based on how much money you put into Social Security. SSI benefits, or Supplemental Security Income, is a needs-based program that has a set amount. In Michigan, that set amount is $564 a month.
Okay.
For an individual. There are other exceptions and complexities, but just in general, 564. The average Social Security disability check across the nation, if you added them all up and divided them by the number of people, is $864 a month. Now, that's really not a lot of money to live on every month, because Social Security was never meant to take care of all our financial
Right.
needs when we retire or become disabled. But it is a base to build on. Now, when somebody loses their job, whether through disability or retirement, Social Security only replaces about 40% of that lost income. So if they don't have savings or some other income to fall back on, with just Social Security, that means that their standard of living would go down by 60%.
Okay.
That's why Social Security encourages people with disabilities who want to work to take advantage of these ticket to work and work incentives.
Okay. Now, are the requirements for disability, are they the same for Social Security disability and SSI? Are the requirements the same?
No, not at all.
Okay.
The definition of disability is identical for both disability programs. But to become eligible for Social Security, a person has to work under covered employment. Covered employment is where the employer pays half the FICA taxes, and then we as a worker would pay half the FICA taxes. And then you would become insured. So the more you put in to Social Security, the bigger your Social Security check would be. For SSI, since it's a needs-based program, you have to have limited income, limited resources. We look at your marital status and your living arrangements. It's a completely different program. In fact, the money that SSI benefits are paid out come from the general revenues of the United States government. The Social Security Disability, or SSDI, it's referred to sometimes, that money comes out of the Social Security Disability Trust Fund.
Okay. I heard you say the word FICA. Now everybody jumped. What in the world is FICA? Okay. Well, I think that's clearing up a lot of the misconception. What people don't understand the difference between the SDA part and the SSI part, because you hear people initiate it all the time. Well, I'm getting SDA, which stands for Social Security Disability. I'm getting SSI. Okay, so they really don't know the difference between the two, I think, a lot of times, because they're both saying that I'm disabled or I'm getting some monies towards my disability.
Another way to often check is if somebody's getting their check on the first of the month, that would be an SSI check.
Okay.
That's maybe an easier way
Okay.
to do it.
I guess the public say, okay, I'll remember that now. So before we get too deep into it, who's involved into the Ticket to Work?
There's a lot of players with the Ticket to Work program now. Social Security has really assembled an army of counselors and agencies that will help the disabled person who wants to work get the tools and training they need in order to become self-sufficient. The first player in this whole program, of course, is your audience, the ticket holder, the person who gets the Social Security disability check. Then there's Social Security, who, we fund all these different agencies. Maximus is the program manager. The program manager handles the Ticket to Work program, basically. The employment networks are involved. Those are agencies that actually do the vocational rehabilitation type of services. And in fact, in Michigan, and in most states, the vocational rehabilitation agencies are very involved in the Ticket to Work program. So we also have some other agencies that have just been created, and your listeners should really listen to this. It's the BPA&O, the Benefit Planning Assistance and Outreach. That is an agency of counselors who will tell your constituents exactly how work will affect their benefit, whether it's Social Security or SSI. They'll sit down with them one-on-one and explain everything. There's no more going back to work and guessing.
Okay.
These people will really help a lot. And if there are problems, either with the employer, with whatever, making decisions about what employment network should I choose, there's an agency called the Protection and Advocacy Agency.
Oh, yeah.
And the Protection and Advocacy, they go to bat for
Yes.
people with disabilities. They're like the lawyers.
They sure are.
And
Okay.
they're a big help.
Right. All right. Now we need to get now the two agencies that you mentioned, especially the first one that tells an individual about how much they can earn and the breakdown. Are they along with your website too? Are they a part of your agency, or are they separate? The benefit.
The Benefit Planning Assistance and Outreach.
Right. Are they?
I do have their telephone number for people
Okay.
in the Detroit area and in Michigan.
Okay.
If they wanted to look on the screen right now,
Okay, well, we definitely can give them that number. Matter of fact, we'll flash those numbers up for you and everything. But
Great.
You guys have a Social Security. Social Security Administration has a website. So if someone had a question for Ticket to Work, what would be the website address that they can click into?
again, they can look on their screen, and Maximus's website is yourtickettowork.com.
Okay.
Social Security has a website of www.ssa.gov/WORK, or work.
Okay. Okay.
And there are 800 numbers and toll-free numbers on the screen so that they can call. And that's what most people do, is call.
Okay. Okay. Well, I tell you what, O'Brien, we're going to go to another commercial break, and we'll be back with some more information about Ticket to Work. Okay.
I can cause sudden headaches, dizziness, trouble walking, talking, seeing. What am I? I am a stroke. Learn to recognize a stroke.
Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. Welcome back to the show. We're with the coordinator for the Ticket to Work and Work Incentive Program, O'Brien Robinson from Social Security Administration. Now, O'Brien, this is a good piece because, you know, and really we should have more than just a half an hour to talk about this, because I know people will watch the show and know that they have questions. But one question in particular I wanted to ask you is, who is eligible for this Ticket to Work and Work Incentive Program?
In Michigan, they'll have already received their ticket, but just in general, you have to be between 18 and 64 years old, be getting a cash benefit already, and your medical improvement cannot be expected.
Okay.
So that's basically the criteria.
Okay, because we were wondering why people in their 60s would be receiving a Ticket to Work. I mean, a lot of people say, well, I'm almost 65 years old. Why would I be getting this thing just telling me to go back to work?
Well, once they hit 65, they're just eligible for retirement benefits.
Okay.
So that's why it works out that way.
Okay, so 18 to 64.
Yes.
Okay, pretty good numbers there. Okay. Now, can you give our audience a view of what a Ticket to Work ticket looks like?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It comes in the mail. They've already received it, more than likely. It's about a 6x9 card that has the ticket information. It'll have their name, their Social Security number, a letter from Social Security, and some information about who to call. And they need to call Maximus, the program manager, and their phone number will be there.
Okay. Okay. So now, today you're going to give us a view of some of the things that the Ticket to Work program offers, or the setup.
Sure. If somebody, I also want to mention the Protection and Advocacy. Their telephone number is 1-800-414-3956. They could call that if they...
So if they have a problem, they should call Protection and Advocacy.
Yes.
Okay. Those are the watchdogs for persons with disabilities. So we are familiar with the Protection and Advocacy Agency. We have the opportunity to actually interview them as well. And for those of you who don't know who they are, we will put their number up again so that you will get a chance to call them if you feel that you are in need of services from the Protection and Advocacy Program. And don't forget, they also are, a part of their division is CAP. And CAP represents persons with disabilities that are having difficulties with some of the agencies. Okay, so
Great.
See how smart I am? Can't give you all of it, but I can tell you enough that CAP, Protection and Advocacy are all under the same umbrella. Good people, very helpful in, you know, getting some of the cobwebs off of some of these laws and everything that people have gotten, you know, old with and have wanting to change. Okay,
Great.
so let's get back to you here, and what do we have?
Well, in putting it all together for as far as the ticket goes, if they wanted to look on the screen, there is the beneficiary receives the ticket. They'll call Maximus. Maximus will tell them about the employment networks. Those are the people who do the actual vocational rehabilitation, the services, the transportation, the training. They'll go to the various employment networks in their area based on their zip codes and where they live. And then the employment network and the individual will both voluntarily decide if they want to work with each other. If they can, there'll be an individual work plan that they'll work out. They'll sign a little contract. It's one of our forms, a Social Security Form 1365. And then at that point, something almost magical happens. Social Security will no longer initiate a continuing disability review. We will not review someone's disability if they assign their ticket to an employment network.
Okay.
So they're free from that worry, because that's a concern of some people who have disabilities, thinking that their benefit might stop because their condition is improving.
Okay, that is true. Okay, so along with this one here, what happens? So I see you have the windows up that tells you each and every piece that goes on. So when they go through all these channels and they actually have sat with the individual and said, okay, I want to go to work, who's in charge of finding the jobs, or how do they go about it?
The employment network would be in charge of that. Now, they're not guaranteed a job, but they will help them try to find a job.
Okay.
Just much the same of what Michigan Rehabilitation will do. In fact, they're very involved in the Ticket to Work program.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now the process for could you tell us about the work incentive part? What do that do for a person? Is that for the employers, or is that for the actual card holder?
It's for any Social Security recipient or SSI recipient. There are work incentives for both. But just to give you an idea of what incentives are like, you know, we're all from the Detroit area. You know, we've seen the television ads for car ads, 0% financing, no money down, cash back. Well, those incentives help people do what they ordinarily wouldn't be able to do, to buy a new car. Well, Social Security does not have those types of incentives.
Okay.
I wish we had some cash back, 0% financing, but we don't. What we do have, though, are work incentives that help the person with the disability overcome the barriers to work. And we do that through a lot of different ways. And I like to put them in a sequence so people could understand it more easily. But if a person who receives Social Security disability wants to work, oftentimes they only want to earn a little bit of money every month. Well, they can earn as much as they want for the first 9 months. So they've got a period of 9 months where they can receive Social Security and their paycheck. It doesn't, and the amount of the paycheck doesn't matter. We just don't care. They can. So when I tell people about working, they need to jump in with both feet. If they want to work overtime, go for it. Now, what happens is they can work for 9 months. Then there's a 3-month grace period where they're going to get a Social Security benefit. So that's 1 year of getting Social Security and their paychecks.
So that's combined. You can get your Social Security check
Exactly.
and work at the
So
same
that's
time.
the time they want to work and earn as much as they want. But let's say they're working and earning so much money that their Social Security or SSI check goes down. There is a 3-year period from the end of that 9-month trial work period for 36 more months where at any time if they can't work because of their disability, they can come into Social Security and start up the Social Security benefit immediately. There's no new application, there's no muss, no fuss. It is just start up their benefit. And then they can tell us, well, I got another job, I'm back working, my episode went away, and I want to get back to work. As soon as I get that job, let us know. We'll suspend their benefit, and then they can continue working.
Okay.
That's called the extended period of
I
eligibility.
know a lot of people want to know about that. So, okay, now in our last few minutes, we have to wrap up here. Is there anything we really need to know at this point, like the web addresses,
Sure.
phone numbers? Because somebody's going to give you a call and ask some more questions.
Well, going along with that same example, there is, after that extended period of eligibility, an expedited reinstatement period that goes 5 years beyond that. So there is almost a decade of a period where Social Security is trying to help people become self-sufficient. And that's a period where we will, again, start up their benefits. It's possible to start up their benefits without a new application.
Now, people like yourselves, coordinators, do you all go out and speak at functions and let people know what's going on? Because I think a lot of time our viewers are confused because they have to come to an office like Michigan Rehabilitation Services or Goodwill or something
Sure.
and talk to a representative that they're not sure if they're going to be going back to work or they really don't want to go to work, and yet they're caught up in this decision but not sure what they're caught up in. So people like yourself, do you go out and make presentations to employers or to the general public?
I go out and talk all the time.
Okay.
And I'm available in the Metro Detroit up to Port Huron
Okay.
area. But there's one more work incentive. Do I have enough time to go into one more?
1 minute.
The plan to achieve self-support, where people can exclude, who get SSI benefits, they can exclude income and resources so that they can get on a path to becoming self-sufficient and make more money. Now, there are some websites, like there's a government website called disabilityinfo.gov.
Okay.
It'll be on the screen. They'll know they're there because President Bush's picture is there on the left.
Okay. I see that.
It's a fabulous website talking about their people's rights, transportation, work supports, things like that. There's also another one called the careeronestop.org. And the interesting thing about this website is that half of it is for the employee and the other half is for the employers who want to hire people with disabilities. And they connect them together. So that's a great website for people.
Okay, that's a lot of information. Well, what we'll do is make sure that all those websites are listed, so, you know, in case people do have questions. And for those of you who don't have computers or websites, rather, we will have phone numbers that you can also contact these agencies as well, because we know you have questions for them. We don't want you to go out and not know that you are eligible for assistance through these wonderful programs. So, O'Brien Robinson, I want to thank you so much for coming out to see us. Please come back again. Okay.
My pleasure.
Tell my good friend Sarah Talley we said hello, and we're waiting to see her as well.
I talk to Sarah all the time.
Okay. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to keep you informed on what's going on in your community as well as around the country. And Social Security is one of those things that you do want to know about. Feel free to give us a call at our station number, 248-988-0250, 248-988-0250, 25 production number. And give us a call about any one of our past guests, or if you have an idea for us. I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask. And what do I always say? If you know someone with a disability, don't be afraid to ask, just ask. And if you have a general question, you can ask that too. Thank you.